Hey everybody, it's Scott Brown with day 3 of Darren LaCroix's Facebook Live Challenge. Today I have to say that I've been thinking about Penny Marshall's passing, and not because I was this huge Laverne and Shirley fan, and it was a fun show when I was a kid, but I've been more thinking about Penny Marshall's passing because of how she was able to reinvent herself, how she was able to move past success that she had early and find even greater success later. Now, Laverne and Shirley was the #1 show on television for a number of years back when I was a kid. But it wasn't a show that really changed the genre or really had lasting qualities. I mean, how often do you see Laverne and Shirley reruns on syndication? It's not that common. But what you do find on a regular basis are the movies that she was able to create after she left being in front of the camera to telling a story from behind the camera. And her movies like Big and Awakenings and of course A League of Their Own were absolutely fascinating and changed many of our lives. They told stories that we thought about or that we were interested in and that we still talk about today. My question that I've been wondering so much today is, how often do we find ourselves telling the same story and hoping for a different ending? That instead of just closing one chapter and moving on to the next chapter in our lives, that we keep reliving that past chapter and hoping that for some reason, maybe this time that we relive that past chapter, maybe this time it'll come out differently. But the great thing about Penny Marshall is that she was able to transition what she did and find those transferable skills that made her great doing one thing and allowed her to become even greater doing something else. I talk to a lot of people who seem to be kind of stuck in what they're doing and how they're doing it. That I hear so often when I go and visit a business or I talk to a leader, well, this is how we've always done it, or this is how it worked last year, or you just don't understand the backstory. When we get stuck in all of what happened before, that we forget to look forward. And if you've ever driven a car, you know that it's far more difficult to get where you're trying to go if you're always looking behind you. Because in front of you is where the future lies. And behind you, it's what allowed you to get to where you are today, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the reason for where you're going tomorrow. Penny Marshall, to me, epitomized the ability to transcend those two types of cultures. The culture of being able to tell a story in one way and then being able to tell a story in another way while not letting go of that first way. And there was a lot of folks from her generation that seemed to be able to do that. Henry Winkler and Ron Howard were able to tell great stories in a different way and make a great impact on people's lives in a way that they might not have expected. And I wonder how many of us are stuck telling a story in a certain way that we just expect to keep doing the same thing, but always gets the same results. When what we really need to do is just turn that page and start a brand new chapter in our life. Now, one of the reasons why I took Darren LaCroix up on this 90-day challenge is because there was a big chapter that closed in our lives. My wife got promoted, and we had to leave sunny Orlando, Florida, and we ended up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I didn't want to live the same story and relive that same chapter of my life over again here. One, because it's colder, and I didn't want to die of frostbite. But two, I wanted to try to experience something different. I wanted to push myself beyond my comfort zone and really make this an adventure and see what other type of story I could tell, what other experiences are out there just waiting for me to experience. And I challenge all of you to do the same thing. Are you doing the same thing every day because it's comfortable, because it's right, or just because you're scared of trying to tell a different story? And to look at the people that have moved from one part of their life to another and found great success later in life. I mean, I am a huge fan of Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can tell by my shape. But that didn't happen when he was young. It didn't happen until many failures. And if we're going to tell a different story, we're going to fail sometimes, and we're going to get knocked down, we're going to have to get back up. But if Penny Marshall is to have left a lasting impact on any of us is that to remember that just because you were good at one thing doesn't mean you can't also be good at something else. And maybe that something else was related to that first thing you were very good at or you were great at. Maybe you just have to figure out a way to transition and just figure out a way to tell a little bit of a different story and be able to change someone's life a little bit more. So I hope this makes you think a little bit. And maybe this weekend, pick up Netflix and watch a league of their own, because there is no crying in baseball. See you, everyone.